Hey guys, Tom here, Permaculture Wilmington. This video is a follow-up on the composting bucket that I posted before. A lot of people were interested, so once you get the bucket established in the ground the way it needs to be, and you've got your bedding in the bottom, which is your manure for the worms. You put your worms in, and then you put vegetation on top of that. After a few weeks, you'll notice that the vegetation is gone. Depending on the time of the year, in the summertime when it's real hot, it might be less than a few weeks because of the evaporation. And in the wintertime, the worms eat more because they need warmth, and they get warmth from eating. So in the wintertime, you actually need to put more, and in the summertime when it's really, really hot, in August, usually you got to check to make sure that the leaves haven't all evaporated and maybe put a little moisture in. But for the most part, they get all the moisture they need from the vegetation. And all I do when the bucket is like this, I just opened it, and they've already eaten most of the vegetation in here. So there's really this is all that's left in terms of what they can still be eating. All this is pretty much decomposed to the point where that is unusable and undesirable for them, because they do not like to live in their own feces. So they'll crawl through it, but they prefer to stay in the vegetation, which is this. So all we need to do is add vegetation in. And the ease of having a bucket right here in the garden is that we can just take from the plants that are around the bucket. So like right now, these lettuce are bolting. So what I'm going to do is I've got a whole bunch of seedlings ready to go, and I'm just going to be replacing it. And the way we do this is we don't disturb the soil. So we just need to cut the plant off right at the base. I can get my scissors on it. Easier to do it with two hands. But yeah. So once we cut the base off, we just stick it right in the bucket. And I'm just going to be replacing each one of these plants. So it's really just a matter of cutting the plant off right at the base. If you guys can see that. So like literally ground level here. Boom. Okay. And we're leaving that. We are not touching that. It may come back a little bit, but it won't be long-lived. It would be short-lived in the summer months. Occasionally you get some, but the point is that the plants, even when they're in the ground, yes, they might be taking moisture, but if there's life and there's roots in the soil, that plant is giving exudates to the microbiology that's in the soil, and exudates are the food. So the plant is literally feeding the bacteria, and it's expecting something in return from the bacteria and the microbes. So I mean, a whole soil food web, guys, not just bacteria, not just fungi, but there's nematodes, there's arthropods, there's a list, you know what I mean? And there's just life that we can't see, but it exists. So this is how biology science has determined through lots of years of studying this every day by really smart people. This is what we need to be doing. So, and this is how we maintain soil health. Don't disturb under the soil. We just add organics onto the top, because the organics contains more microorganisms. So if we have more microorganisms, we're putting more into them that are good. You know, and those are the guys that are going to beat the bad guys. So that's the system here, guys. This is what we're doing. I'm trying to explain it in simple terms, because a lot of the words I've been throwing out on Facebook, like exudates and things, are you know, kind of steering people away from learning this. And I want to make it as easy as possible, because it's a wonderful thing. I mean, this is our health, guys. These organisms that are in this soil that we're talking about right now are the same ones that are inside us that keep us alive. So they're the ones that feed us. We can't absorb minerals. You know, you've heard that we need minerals. We can't get the minerals without the microbes. So if we keep the microbes in our gut and our bodies healthy, and we need to inoculate ourselves with more microbes, with good microbes, beneficial, make sure they're beneficial, you know, and this is how we do it. The ones that are in the plants that live the way they do are meant to be consumed by us. That's how this all works. So we need to get the microbes into the vegetation, the good microbes that we want. So we need to get them into the soil, and we do that by composting. And worms are the ones that regulate the good and the bad in the soil, and the mycelium. They eat the abundance. Anytime there's an abundance of one population, the worms come in and they regulate those populations. So the worms in the worms' guts contain the microbes that we need the most, man. Like this, worms are the deal. So if we need to make worms happy and feed worms, and this is the best way to do it, and the easiest way I've found to get, you know, to make this process right here, so we don't have to go hauling things back and forth. You know, I mean, it's all right here. The only problem you're ever going to have is moles, because in the soil food web, moles are above the microbes. They eat the worms. So the moles go for the worms, and if we're farming worms, the point is that we need to you know, be aware of that and be okay with it, because it's going to happen. We're growing worms directly connected to the soil, so if moles come in and they find this bucket, you're going to have problems with moles. But it's okay, because we can get worms in another place. You know, we can move the bucket if we need to. After you've got this fertility going in the soil here, and you've got the microbe population pretty established, you can move the bucket, because you've already got the established microbes here. So we can establish them in a different part if it's not highly concentrated. If this soil's not as healthy over here, and it does fluctuate from one side of the garden to another, along with a lot of variables like moisture content, you know, where's the most clay concentrated in the soil. So, you know, wherever we have these factors, these variables, we're going to have variations in the amount of microbes and the type of microbes that like to live in that particular requirement of soil, so or particular parameter. So what we have here is the bucket that is just an easy thing here, guys. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're growing worms and reproducing worms so that we can get these microbes into our diet. That's the whole point, and it's super easy. And this is how you do it. You just cut from the base of a plant, cut it off, and then stick it right in there. Any of the leafy greens that you have around your garden, any plants, I mean, pretty much anything that's organic, guys, just throw it in. And you know, if it fits in the bucket, if you didn't do things with moisture, then you would need to water it on occasion, just to let you know. Okay, so and what I mean by that is, like, if you just put a whole bunch of wood chips in here, which you could, but the wood chips are going to dry out before all the worms and all the bacteria and the microbes actually get to them. So, you know, get to eat them all. So you need to remember or realize that, and just add moisture, because they need moisture. But if you just add leafy greens like this, it's just consistent moisture. This is actually 90% moisture. I know mushrooms are 90%. I think leafy greens, and they're pretty close, if not even higher. But the point is that you're adding a lot of moisture when you're doing this. So, and if you keep that in mind, then, you know, you can kind of adjust one way or another. It's an understanding, you see what I mean? Like, I understand that wood chips are that way, that have a dry factor to them, and this leafy greens comes with adding moisture. That's one of the hand-in-hand things that you keep in mind, and this is what you get. So success, lots of worms, and I can show you guys if I dig around in here. Oh, there's a lot of oats in here. That's why they're under the oats. That makes sense. Ooh, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Oh, they've got a lot of work to do. They're not even close to being done. I thought they were good. Yeah, I see. I put cardboard and different things for bedding in the bottom. You know, that I knew. This is actually a bone. That's one of my dog's bones. Look at the mycelium on it. That's crazy. That's been taken over by beneficial fungi in the soil. That's hyphae, is what you're looking at. Those strands. That's mycelial hyphae. That's like the legs where they reach out and they're crawling and reaching around for things and changing the direction of their biomass in the soil. It's incredible. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that structure. When people talk about structure in soil, this is what they're saying. This is like when you build a house and you make it out of pine and you build a frame. This is the frame in the soil that holds it together. Structural integrity, biologically, is what we're looking at. It's fascinating, guys. This is something that we need to pay more attention to. Very cool. But anyway, so dog bone, and there's a lot of stuff in here. That shouldn't be in there. That's a filter for a watering tray. So, you know, this basically whatever falls into our kitchen compost bucket is what ends up in here. Lots of eggshells, and eggshells are breaking down. This is probably 3 or 4 months, if you guys want a general idea, and it's still not broken up. So that should tell you something about how fast eggshells break down in the soil without a little help. Oh, here you go. There's some down here. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's a big cluster of them. Very cool. Very cool. Alright. I'm not sure what you guys can see. I'm just kind of doing this, and you're doing it with me, you know what I mean? So, just coming out, inspecting, checking. Because of you guys, I'm a better gardener, because I double check myself, because I'm doing so many videos, and trying to relay the ease of this lifestyle, but it is a mentality change. So you have to be able to just change a lot of what you believe, a lot of the generation conditioning that happens. So, alright, I'm putting all this stuff back in here, just cramming some vegetation in. Doesn't matter as long as it's organic. As long as it came from the earth, it can go back in. If it lived once, it can live again. That's my little belief I'm picking up that I've heard many times. I didn't come up with that, so, but it clicks, you know. Some things resonate, and that one, that's one of the ones that resonates. These lids are nice, but they're a little bit of a pain to get lined up when you're putting them back on. But it doesn't have to be perfect. I do like it to go down even. Here we go. Cool. Alright. There it is, guys. The worm bucket. And it's good to go for, I'd say, a couple weeks now. Sorry that was so long. Hope you're having a great day. And, hope you're safe. Grow abundantly. Live regeneratively. Be happy.